Hey guys, welcome to New York Comic Con. I am Justin. He's David. How are you doing today, David?
I'm fantastic. How are you doing, Justin? It is finally New York Comic Con. We've been playing this for months. It's like giving birth to a baby. You know, we've just been putting this all together for so long, and now we finally get to push it out in the world, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's so amazing! It's so cute." Take it away. It's crying.
Right. Yeah. I hope you didn't push all of that stuff on the table out of you because that would be painful.
I'm I'm a trooper. I'm a trooper.
Yeah, I didn't scream once, right?
I took like a leather belt and I folded it around a couple times and I put it in my mouth. It was kind of like that scene in A Quiet Place,
Sure.
where you can't make any noise because I was in the middle of a crowded office building.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. Well, joining us today is Mr. Dan Paul. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
Thank you
Happy
for
to be here.
being on our show. We're having we always have a good time on these little live streams. It doesn't get too awkward. We're all wearing clothes, so that's good.
Hey,
Right now,
We
this
got
is
feedback. They didn't like the naked stuff.
we used to do this shirts and skins, and they're like,
Everyone
no,
with
no, no more.
skins.
All skins, no shirts.
Man, well, thank you for joining us. Are you a big Comic Con fan? Do you go to the shows?
I've never gotten to go to a Comic Con.
Oh man,
I
they
would
didn't
love
have them out in Montana.
no,
You
no, no. No, I was born and raised in Billings. They would sometimes have like a small hobby show, but there wasn't always a lot of stuff like that. There's no real big events. There might start to get to be some now because it's
Right.
growing pretty quickly. But back then, when I was growing up, it was pretty hard to come by.
Isn't that fascinating how, like, when we were kids, you were a total nerd bomber and it was a bad thing if you read comic books or you played Dungeons and Dragons, and
Yeah.
now A-lister celebrities are bragging about their sweet character that they rolled in Dungeons and Dragons, and you're like, all right,
Like,
well, I remember getting my ass kicked for playing this game,
yeah,
but whatever.
okay.
Yeah, I'm glad to see that more people are able to participate and
Oh,
enjoy it.
for
It's
me,
celebrated now.
for me too, because Dungeons and Dragons, I used to play and played for a very long time with a big group of friends. And I think some of the happiest moments of my life were playing Dungeons and Dragons. Like I enjoyed it so much that I would ignore girls to continue to play Dungeons and Dragons with my friends. It was a good
Nice.
time.
Well, how far from Portland are you? 'Cause you're in
Eugene
right?
is about, I want to say it's about 3 hours or so from Portland,
Super.
south
I was
of
gonna say,
Portland.
if we ever return to conventions, there is a Comic Con called Rose City Comic Con that we may attend, and if we do, we'll make sure to invite you so you can
Oh yeah, I'll come
to
along.
go to one of those conventions.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
I mean, you have to work it, you have to like sell product and do that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
run around.
You can put me to work.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Someone's got to get the lunch orders.
Yeah,
I can do that.
it's a lot of fun. But you actually are diving into the comic book universe, and I want to talk about this for a second because you have a Kickstarter campaign that actually was successfully funded in just one day for Iron Face, Meet Your New Nightmare. And when I first started reading about this, and I was fascinated that this story originated when you were just a young boy, around like 9, 10, 11, writing short stories. And it's very dark. It's a lot of fun. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of kids go through that horror phase where
Uh-huh.
you go, when we were kids, we'd go to the video store on a Friday night when we had a sleepover, rent out some scary movies, and have a good time and be terrified all night long. And so, like, I immediately started like thinking of my childhood when I was hearing the story, and I would love for you to expand on that a little bit and tell us all about Iron Face.
Sure. I think Iron Fist was originally conceived in Colstrip, Montana. I was a young kid who loved dinosaur toys, Masters of the Universe toys, and I would create these worlds in my bedroom. And I'd always been drawing and writing, and at some point I started making little stories with the characters, and I'd have them, I'd even script them out a little bit. And so then I got interested in starting to write stories. And most of the things I liked were like werewolves and monsters and things like that. Iron Face is certainly that. And I seem to have liked writing about him the most because I wrote like 50 of them. And there were these short stories that would be like maybe 5 or 6 pages long, and that's about it. I started that when I was about 8 or 9, and then I continued writing them until I was 11. They worried my mother quite a bit. So she sent them off to my aunt, who was also a little worried about them. But my mom still encouraged me to keep writing them. So fast forward a bit, and I continued to draw a lot, even through high school and college, and write a lot. and I was doing a lot of theater and acting and just anything creative. I was doing a lot of that. And I thought in high school I was going to be a comic book artist / writer. I was starting to collect a lot of comics at that time, starting to draw a lot of comics at that time, and it was really fascinating to me. And I never once thought about Iron Face during that period. It was much later in life. My mom, as a Christmas present to us kids, gave us some of our old stuff back from when we were younger. And God bless her, she had kept 2 binders full of stories, and most of them were Iron Face stories. And I looked at them, I was like, oh, I remember these. And I read one or two, and I thought, man, these are kind of gory and crazy. They made me laugh because of how naive I was as a kid, and the things you write are just funny. It's complete with all the errors and everything on the old notebook paper that I used. And so I had started my Twitch channel and was looking for something fun that I might do some night. And I thought, let's read some of these old stories and see if the viewers like them at all. And we did that, and we were laughing so hard during them, and it became this huge hit. So that every once in a while I would read more Iron Face stories to them, and it was just people were dying. I started getting fan art and big posters. There's a couple of songs have been made, and I just continue to read these old stories from time to time. I try to make them special now and build them up if I'm going to read a new one. But I think when it really blew up was I got one of my musician heroes, Andrew WK, to come on my show. And he read the origin story, and a lot of people saw that, and it just kind of continued to blow up from there and get bigger and bigger. And this campaign is kind of the result of that. You have no idea how weird it is to see something you did when you were that young, like being turned into this huge thing now.
Right. No, that's incredible.
It's crazy.
Your mom was really clever about giving it back to you as like a present. I think
wow.
all of us, when we hit like our 20s and 30s, all got that box from their parents like, we don't want to store this junk anymore. If you want it, just throw it out. But they say it in a way to where that like if you say just throw it out, it's like breaking their hearts. Like, fine, I'll take it.
A lot of stuff she gave me, like I obviously don't need. There was some like just old drawings from kindergarten, elementary school, stuff like that. And it was interesting to see, but I don't have anything to do with that stuff. Yeah. I didn't even save most of my college art. So I certainly didn't need that. But the stories fascinated me, and I wanted to hold on to them.
At least you got something good. My box had like, here's your 17th place trophy for that air guitar contest that you did. And it's like, okay, thanks for holding on to that. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, I got
a trophy. It was like a ribbon.
More of a button. It says you suck.
It's like
I got a lot of acting medals and trophies and stuff back from my high school period too. All these little certificates. It's funny though, because I had like drawing certificates and stuff from when I was very little in elementary school. Because my dad saw that I could draw, so he was entering me in all kinds of little contests, and a lot of times I'd win. So it'd be some dumb little thing that you'd win, but it was something.
That's great. I have no artistic bone.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
They encourage you to do your drawings and stuff like that, and to be like, quit doodling, Dan.
Oh no, my parents loved that I was creative. They had no idea where it came from, but they've always been really super supportive of me doing art or my writings. They've always loved that, and so anything I do in that field, they know that's me. That's always been me, and they've been 100% behind it.
That's great. So like when they got your Iron Face short story, and they're like, I see he's crushing this guy's face. I have notes if you're receptive to feedback.
Why are you so mad at me? Clearly you're just acting out, and these victims are me and your dad.
Well, yeah, it's. I mean, and the thing about Iron Face, this monster that I created, the fascinating part about it is like, so he's already a murderer, and he's a bad guy, and the police come to get him, and arrest him, and the police have everything at their disposal. They're carrying butcher knives, because I figured police would be armed with anything at that age, like they'd have bazookas, missile launchers, whatever. They probably have a knife on them. And I went in the kitchen. The biggest knife was a big, like butcher's knife. So it's like,
sure,
one of these. And the inspiration for Iron Face was looking at my mother's iron on the ironing board and flipping that over. And that's what I kind of saw as like a cool face. So the police like nailed this scrap of iron into his face as his punishment. But instead of dying like he should, it like enrages him and he becomes this monster that terrifies what I called then the city of New Jersey.
Right.
And
great.
He's this terror, and mostly his enemy is the police for what they've done to him, which is funny because my dad was a policeman and a deputy. My grandpa was a sheriff. I come a little bit from law enforcement, so they seem to be the bad guys in the story a lot. But he doesn't discriminate. He kills children, animals, everything.
Yikes.
A monster.
Morse codec or Morse code Z. He seems to think that Iron Face is just misunderstood.
There you go.
He's ahead of his time.
Mm-hmm.
I see here that that artist Ian Chase Nichols, who had worked on The Tick and Batman TMNT, Ninja Turtles, he's going to bring the first issue to life. Yeah. You know what's cool is on this illustration here, the first thing I thought of was Casey Jones. He's got like this bag of awesome Arsenal stuff going on, and the white shirt and pants and the mask, and I was like, oh my god, it's like Casey Jones.
Yeah, that's really accurate because he's got that kind of look to him, a Casey Jones look, but he's almost got like this Hulk or He-Man body.
Right, he's roided out.
Yeah, he's just like this huge kind of. Yeah. So I like that about it. He's just a meaner one, and he's a bad guy, Iron Face. But he always wins. There's never a good episode of Iron Face.
Sure.
Every story wins with Iron Face walking off successfully, killing whoever.
And I feel like like Jason Voorhees is a lot like that too. Like as a movie goer, we'll go and we'll check out Friday the 13th movies, and you're kind of rooting for Jason to win. So it's funny when something like that happens.
Because it's something kind of thrilling. Like that's the thrill of the movie. So you're always waiting for them to show up.
Yeah. And what unique death scene are we going to see today?
Yeah.
It's always pretty crazy. But no, that's great. Congratulations on getting funded in just one day. It's exciting. Do you want to go over some of the cool stretch goals that you're looking for?
I mean, we're looking really to do as much as we can. We'd like it to lead to maybe an animated series in the future, and an actual kind of brand. There's lots of cool stretch goals. Dave would be the person to talk more about that because I haven't looked at him too much because I'm afraid of what he put in there.
Sure. You're gonna show up at parties.
Well, I think one of the coolest things is like there was one where you can be in the comic as a character in the comic. Getting original art from many of us and stuff like that.
Sure.
And just all kinds of there's great little things in there. So we're trying to build it up as much as we can and keep the momentum going.
Yeah, that's great. I like this poster here. It looks really cool.
The
two on the bottom there, they remind me of that board game, like 1313 Dead End Drive, like sort of this cool painting, of these characters. That looks really great. I love that.
Yeah, that's Torrin. He's pretty incredible. He's done a lot of art for us as well with Iron Face. He was pretty fascinated by it early. And I've got a bunch of those hanging up here in my studio.
Oh, that's great. And an animated series would be fun too, especially if it's like, just like a 3-minute short of just going on a rampage and murdering somebody.
He headbutted a moving vehicle one time.
Yeah, there you go. It's
I always get excited when I see Kickstarters get funded like really quickly because it shows like the passion of fans. But I'm always thinking like that scene in Road to Perdition where the kid asked Tom Hanks, he's like, "I have some money." He's like, "Sure, how much do you want?" He's like, $200. He's like, "Sure, here you go." Could I have asked for more? He's like, "Probably." So I'm always wondering if like when he gets funded so quick, do you think to yourself like, "Oh, I guess we should have asked for more."
Yeah, I'd love to see it hit 20K. We're almost there now. So
sure.
That'd be a nice number. That if we could get that, would be great. If we get any more, awesome. But I'm happy just that we hit the goal.
No, that's cool. Especially when you can have all kinds of fun guests on your show, and maybe even like voice actors that you've admired over the years taking on the role of Iron Face. That'd be kind of neat too.
Yeah, right now it's just I usually read them myself, or me and a friend of mine who really enjoys them. Um, we'll read them
Yeah, that's
together.
great.
But,
Oh, that's cool.
but yeah,
Now, as a kid, did you base any of the characters around like your friends or like relatives or anything like that, or is this all just 100% just out of the blue, or are there inspirations?
for Iron Face, I don't think so. Like I was really just living in that world. Somebody asked me like, was I influenced by like slasher films and stuff as a kid? And I wasn't really, because I wasn't supposed to watch those.
Wasn't
So I didn't,
supposed to watch those.
yeah, I didn't see a lot of those things, but I kind of could imagine them. Like I might see a preview on TV or something. But I don't remember that influenced any of this. Really, it was just a bad guy that was punished that turns kind of into a maniac.
Sure.
That's all as a kid, I can't remember putting any people that I really knew in there, but he would have like a nemesis sometimes in some of the stories, like a guy that really hard to kill or was really giving him a tough time. And I liked reading those. He would always, Iron Face would always still win, but he does come across some pretty cool characters as well.
Right. Notable folks.
That was probably more inspired by Masters of the Universe than anything.
Yeah, no kidding, right? They really went to town with the names on their villains. It was so like on the nose. Beast
Right.
Man, Mer-Man. Yeah,
Evil
so good.
Lynn.
Evil Lynn. Yeah, I mean I'm a sucker for He-Man
Evil
too.
Lynn. I gave up. Yeah, like, what the hell's a Tila?
Yeah. I never heard of no
Name's
Taylor.
just Evil Lynn? What?
I thought it was Evelyn. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Oh man, I love the He-Man toys, man. But I'm like you, where I would mix and match universes. It wouldn't be weird for Duke or Lady J or someone to show up at the Batcave and then they would go journey to Eternia
Sure.
and hang out
Yeah.
in Snake Mountain and stuff like that. So
Yeah, because I'd always get like relatives that weren't clued into those were the things I want. So they'd give me some kind of monsters and dragons and other figures from other universes, and I'd be like, okay, well, make it work,
right. We were kind of joking about that the other day with like Transformers and GoBots, where
Oh.
you want to transform, you want Optimus Prime, and someone gives you some little dinky
Right.
GoBot or something like close, but not quite.
I
Not
don't want
close.
leader one.
Yeah,
Maybe Psy-Kill. There's an on the nose character there. Your motorcycle named is Psy-Kill.
that's great. Man, that's fun. I mean, it's always cool to merge universes, especially since you wrote scripts. So now you can yell at your action figures for not hitting their marks or doing
Yeah.
their lines right. You're like,
You're
again,
supposed to be on location at Grayskull, buddy.
How hard is that? Castle Grayskull. This is clearly Snake Mountain.
Very
Come
obvious.
on.
You'll never work in this town again. You're
The
fired.
fright zone was pretty frightening.
Yeah, exactly. Now we're talking. So like the fright, like Hordak is my favorite villain probably of all time. He was
Hordak?
yeah, because like Skeletor, he just kind of wanted to get into to Castle Grayskull, and beat He-Man.
Uh-huh.
Whereas Hordak was more of a visionary. He had a robot army. He had he was burning books. He had like children's
Yeah,
slaves.
yeah.
Like he was like shooting for a star. Skeletor was kind of small fries, and I'm just like, man, Hordak's just one evil dude.
Yeah, and his characters were were pretty interesting. Like he had the equivalent of Beastman with Grizzlor, but he had real fur.
Right.
He
Wasn't some
had-
short-haired beast.
And he had Modulok, which you could make anything out of.
Yeah.
And,
He was a crazy toy.
Leech, and that one that Montana or something.
Yeah, Montana, yeah. And his eyes, he had like a little dial.
Merlin?
Yeah, that's really great.
Oh, I had tons of them.
Oh, that's great. You're in good company, me too. And I love all that stuff. That's
I
fantastic.
remember the saddest I ever was as a kid. On my 8th birthday party, I got the Battle Damage He-Man, where you like hit his chest, then it would flip to like the Battle
Oh,
Damage
yeah.
part. And I must have left it at the park for my birthday. And I remember being home and just like looking, like tearing
Oh.
everything apart, tearing the house apart, the cars apart, and never finding them. So,
Oh, sad.
man.
I got them as a
Someone got
2-pack. It was like Skeletor and He-Man together in one box for my Battle Damage.
Oh, really?
guys. Yeah, I looked out.
It took everything in my power not to buy that other line of He-Man that they came out with. It was super detailed and incredible. Like I wanted to get all those so bad, and I was like, no, I don't have the money to start.
Yeah,
Again.
7 or whatever.
Yeah, that one that is it Super 7 that did the really huge box for
Yeah, like
for
this
Snake
big.
Mountain. It's like
Yeah.
ginormous.
Really?
You can't even fit in your house. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
It's probably like 5 feet by 5 feet, and then on the bottom it says unassembled. So You know it gets bigger.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
can't imagine. Just
No, I didn't know about that.
that is a whole nother level of commitment that I am not prepared to make, and I don't think the other half would appreciate a giant snake mountain in the house.
Yeah. You're either living alone or you have the most understanding significant other.
Yeah, it'd be cool to hollow it out and like my doggy could use it as like her bedroom. That'd be kind of cool. Like
I
sort of
hope
like
it still has the microphone that you
I know that little wolf microphone that you talked into. It was just always like a hot mic, and all you heard was the whole
Yeah,
time
it's,
you
it,
did
always, it's a terrible microphone.
it was bad. Loved it though, man. And slime. Slime was a big deal
The
in
slime
the
pit.
'80s. Yeah.
Yeah,
It had like
I,
that skull that you'd pour the slime in, and then it had that little claw that would come up and
yeah.
grab them. Yeah.
Tell you a funny story about that. So one Christmas I got that, and we're all at my grandparents' house, and my great grandparents are there too. They don't speak a lot of English. They're German, and they speak a lot of German, especially when they're upset. And so they're all playing. I think they're all playing pinochle. All the adults are sitting around the table. My grandfather comes to me, and he says, "Let me see that. Let me see that slime." And I said, "Okay." So he took it and he goes back over to the table and he hides it underneath the table and he continues to play cards and nobody knows he's got it. And when my great grandfather, when his turn came up and he's looking, my grandpa puts it up and he goes, and throws it right in the middle of the table. My great grandfather shot up from his chair, shouting German expletives and just stomping around, and then ran smack into the sliding glass door. He was so upset that his son would do this at this card game.
That's
and all
terrible.
the kids were just laughing because we knew it was my slime, but he didn't.
Man.
You ruined a fine evening.
Trying to class up the joint with some pinochle, and you're all horsing around with your games.
Sneezing your brains out.
Sneezing your brains out on the table.
Oh man, you know what's funny is that slime had a very particular odor to it, and I immediately just started smelling it as soon as I started talking about it. I was like, oh my god, I hated that.
If I smelled it again, I know I'd be like, yep, that's the one. Because the Ghostbusters had their ectoplasm, and that was a little bit different. But
yeah, that's
I
crazy.
remember my brother throwing his slime on the ceiling, and then like either forgetting about it or being like, I'm too short, ever gonna get that again, and it being up there for like a week, and then when it finally came down, that section of the ceiling never returned to its natural color. Because every time we look up there, we'd be like, oh yeah, good job, Mike.
That slime's up there.
Yeah, that stuff's gross. I don't know, was it like in a little canister that you could like store and reuse? I barely even.
Yeah, you did have a little can for that.
I mean, the second it like touched anything, it started picking up like dirt and.
Right.
I know it started going from green to brown real fast.
Yeah. Just the oils on your hands alone is bad enough to contaminate it, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it got pretty gross pretty quick. Like,
it's like
sticky hands.
Talking about how cool it is, and then you remember why it sucks and why they don't make it anymore.
Yeah. I mean, it was always you didn't want to slime the character because you had to pick it all off then and get it like you wanted to get back to the game of playing with it. So you're like, I don't know if I want to slime him because then I got to clean him too.
Yeah, you had to pick and choose your least favorite character to always go in this. Someone's got to draw a short straw, and it's probably the same character every time. Like, sorry, dude, you're going back in the slime pit.
We're back in there.
Sucks to be you, man. Well, that's cool. Congratulations again on Iron Face. I think that's fantastic. And you are a pretty successful Twitch streamer there. Everyone loves coming to your show, Sour KoolAid. Why don't you tell us what the heck Sour KoolAid, where that comes from? How'd you come up with Sour KoolAid?
So the Sour KoolAid show is I started with a buddy, and we didn't know what you could and couldn't do on Twitch, but we decided we were going to make a Twitch channel, and we were going to call it Mutton Bashers. But then we found out that there was already a Mutton Bashers on YouTube. So we started trying to think of a different name. And that term that you are drinking the Kool-Aid on something,
sure.
That was the term we were thinking of, is that we would review really hyped games and then tell people whether or not they were drinking the Kool-Aid of this game. And my job was pretty much to make people laugh and to make fun of Sean playing the game and then to discredit the game completely. And his job was to keep an open mind about it. And so that's basically what turned into the Sour Kool-Aid Show. Now we did a lot of crazy things back in that day. Like we would eat raw Kool-Aid packets and do we do all these really goofy things that again, because we didn't know what you couldn't do. Like there were times when, we were just wearing Speedos and dancing, and he ate sushi off my chest. And
oh, wow. Then you get a letter. You get a scary email.
we put mouse traps on our feet and our hands. We played with jalapenos on our fingers and burned ourselves. And
yikes!
I made myself into a human collage once and cut out all these pictures. And I used rubber cement. And chat was telling me, "Don't do that. Don't." And I didn't listen soon enough, and I kept doing it. And pretty soon, it was really burning.
No, I bet.
And I scarred myself for about 8 months. My chest never looked the same for a while. It was pretty bad, but
that's great.
But now
you gotta wear it like a badge of honor and just go to the beach without your shirt on. And someone's like, "What happened?" You're like, "I don't know, Russian prison, man. I don't want to talk about it."
Dark town. I go to dark places sometimes.
Yeah, that's when I did get. I mean, the first time that I ever got the attention of Twitch from their TOS was when I was pouring hot candle wax on my face, and they said you can't do that.
No bodily harm on the show.
And then they rewrote all the TOS and stuff. And from what I understand, we had something to do with that because we were doing all these crazy things, and they were looking at each other like, "Can they do that?" Like, so.
Yeah, pushing the envelope. I mean, you got to write the rules somehow, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, right? Like when you read the rules, you're like, well, someone clearly did that. Especially when they get really specific. You're like, oh man, sucks to be that guy.
They wouldn't have put that in if someone didn't do it in the past.
Right. You are no longer allowed to put a hot candle wax on your face. And you're like, that's pretty specific. They clearly did that.
He started to tone things down a little bit.
Yeah.
But then he left after a year, and then I took on the channel by myself. And then that was kind of difficult because he used to master all the tech, and I was just more the entertainment. The idea was like, if you can get us an audience, I think I can keep them. So when he was gone, I was like, oh God, I don't know how to do any of this. But he was nice enough to stay on.
How much of his decision to leave was based on not being able to pour candle wax on his face?
I think 100% of it was his girlfriend saying, I don't like this anymore.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that happens.
It does happen. You play some pretty tough games. Bloodborne specifically. I suck so bad at that game. I watched a speed run of a guy do it in 20-something minutes, and I was like, man, I was still like in the first area in 27 minutes. Yeah. I'm not a good gamer or a pro gamer, and I think that's what people like about me though, is I do struggle just as much as they do, sometimes more, and so they kind of get behind me. I become their champion too. Sure. And
so they start to enjoy it. So that means when I do succeed, everybody celebrates it a little more. It's a little more exciting because in Dark Souls 3, that boss Lawrence, I must have fought him every day for about a month and a half to 2 months. My chat was so sick of it, and we were just clocking in like the wild coyote and that dog, just saying.
Oh yeah, Sam and something. I forget.
Yeah, just like hi Lawrence. And my
that's pretty great.
And we battled for hours. Finally got him though.
No, that's great. Did you complete both Dark Souls 3 and
I completed
Bloodborne?
all the Dark Souls and Bloodborne and the DLC for it.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was fun.
You are a champion.
Don't ask me to go back and do it again.
No, you don't have to. You have the picks. Picks where it didn't happen, right? You have those.
I'm playing Sekiro now, and that game's brutally hard. That's another one. It's just trying to get my way through that. I'm at a pretty tough boss there. So, but I'll get him. Eventually, they all fall sooner or later.
Right. No, totally. No, that's great. I just recently cleared Ghost of Tsushima, and I absolutely love that game. That's like one of my favorites for this last generation.
I've been playing a little bit of that too. It's been really fun.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it.
It's not so much hard. It's more fun.
Yeah.
There's punishing games. I'm like, I was supposed to play video games to relax, and now I'm just stressed and irritated with the world.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I thought I was playing Sekiro, but I was just a little too tired to be doing it. And although I was doing okay, I probably quit the stream after about 3 hours, and I was just like, guys, I'm tired.
Yeah, emotionally, physically,
I
and
gotta think about
spiritually.
that. Well,
Yeah.
also, like, I knew I wasn't gonna get a break this week because I got a lot of stuff going on this week too. So I was like, man, maybe I should have just taken the night off. But
No, that's great. You
I
can't.
find
That's the
that
thing,
if
right?
I'm always stuck on a boss, like I'm stuck there forever. If I just stop and go to bed, and the next morning I wake up for whatever reason, it's easy.
Right.
oh
I just need to rest or something, I guess.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I beat my head for like an hour on him.
My problem is I'll stay away from a game a little too long. You lose that muscle memory. So like, and you forget what buttons do what, and you're like at square one again when you go back 2 weeks later to try and play it. You're like, how did I do that, or where do I go?
Right. I'm always that way when I jump into Skyrim. I have played a billion hours in Skyrim, but every time I
Skyrim is
go back to it,
awesome.
I'm always like, how do I do this again?
Yeah. I played a bunch of Skyrim back in the day. I loved it. It was just a really great time. Those are some of my most enjoyable times of playing games on the channel.
Yeah, that's
And
good stuff.
the other days were just nights where I'd have comedians on board who would come and visit the show or whatever, and watching their sets. I met a ton more comedians than I knew that way, and that was super fun too.
No, that's great. In fact, let's talk about stand-up comedy. You've actually been doing it for 17 years now. Is that what you were saying?
I started around I started around 2002.
No, that's great.
And then I'll occasionally still get gigs. I had one last week, but the scene has changed now. All the clubs are like closed, or they're very different, and it's harder to get work unless you're doing some like private party or something.
Right.
And I don't do as much anymore now because of the traveling it involves, and I've got 2 kids, and so it kind of this is Twitch has helped provide me with something else to throw my
Right.
creative.
Yeah,
stuff
it's a really good platform to. I mean, rather than have entertain, while entertaining 100 people in a club is fantastic, you can entertain 50,000 people all at one time.
Yeah, who knows what you can get on here? The potential is crazy. So
Right.
it's and it works. It's a little more stable too.
Right. And you kind of set the schedule. You
Yeah,
hit
yeah, right.
the 10-minute set, 30-minute set, whatever the case may be. Now
Yeah,
you got all the time that you want, which is pretty
yeah.
great.
If I don't want to, my motto is if I don't feel like working that night, then don't. Like
Right.
I should always love coming to work, and most nights I do. But if I'm tired, I've been doing something all day or whatever, and I'm just not feeling it, then I'll just tell people, guys, I'm exhausted tonight. I'll see you tomorrow instead. And just gotta take that time off for yourself.
Right. Treat yourself.
Mhm.
That includes
Absence
mental
makes
health.
heart grow stronger.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
When did you decide that you wanted to do stand-up comedy? That's a pretty big commitment, right? I mean, you got to go up on stage in front of all these people. It's got to be.
It's by far the hardest thing that I do artistically. I think I can't think of anything harder. It was a process for me. I started doing lots of theater in high school, and then I started and after high school, and then I started writing plays and producing them at our local community theater. And I was starting to do a lot of that. We formed a comedy improv club that had stand-up, and a couple of us were a little more experienced at the stand-up, so we would kind of carry that part of the beginning of that show. And I started getting interested in it. I started winning some local competitions and things, and then hit the road with a couple other comedians, and that's where that came from. And then I kind of for a while left it. Just to pursue other things. I was getting a lot more interested in some of the theater projects I was doing, and but when I came back to it, I was just really poor. Comedy seems like as good a choice as any when you're poor. So
Right.
I was like, well, it can't get any worse. So started doing it again. Won a couple more competitions, then started touring around and things like that. That's how I got started.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
We were talking prior to the show. Jamie Kennedy, he had done this sort of documentary series or documentary film rather. It was called Heckler, and it was dealing with all the hecklers that stand-up comedians have to endure, and some choose to fight back, some just kind of play it off. And I'm always fascinated by that aspect of the business because you have to be an incredibly terrible person to be a heckler. And maybe it's the alcohol that fuels it, but it just drives me insane when someone thinks that they should just take that moment from the comedian. It would drive me. I would turn into Iron Face and I would crush that person's soul. You know what I mean? I'd be like, and bring him up on stage and break him in half or something. And so, I mean, I would love to just be that quick-witted guy and get right back to them and put them in their place and everything. But sometimes it could just, you can see when it just knocks them off their balance. You know, they have this routine, they have all this material that they've worked so hard to do, and then some yahoo just shouts out something. And it's like, what? I'm kind of in the middle. I'm working right now. Leave me alone.
Yeah. And that's one of the, you asked me about lines. That was one of the first heckling retorts that I heard was, I don't come to where you work and slap the cock out of your mouth.
Yikes.
And it was just and it was so vicious, and I was like, whoa, and that person shut up real quick. and it is kind of a brutal thing, but you're stealing the show from someone who's worked really hard, not only on the content, but everybody's trying to have a good time, and they didn't come for that heckler. They didn't come for you. They want to see this person. Even if it's just like an open mic, they came to laugh, and they probably paid some money at the door, and you're not helping that. And the guy not only had to come up with the content, but he has to get the gig. He's got to talk to the owner of the club or whoever's managing it, and that's work for. So they're frustrated. It's like you've all worked, a regular blue collar job or something where, somebody ruins your day pretty easy. Usually your boss but a coworker or something or a customer can really turn a good night into a terrible night. So I try to always come in with a pretty good attitude. I'm usually not that mean to hecklers. You usually don't get a lot of hecklers anyway.
It seems to be accepted with comedians for some reason. I've never been to the dentist and some guy peeked in the room, was like, "Hey, what are you doing in there? You using silver fillings instead of white fillings?" Come on.
Yeah. Totally.
But
and there's this
comedy show, it's accepted.
It is weird. I don't know. I feel like sometimes there's this ease, this feeling of uneasiness, or people start to get uncomfortable, especially if the heckler just doesn't stop, and then eventually, the comedian's just like, "Dude, back off." And I love that. And you can watch a million YouTube videos on comedians just turning it around on hecklers, and it's like, do you really want to be that guy? You're gonna lose. And so
I have a microphone.
Yeah, exactly. No one knows what you're saying. Exactly.
Here's what you're saying.
There's a literal spotlight on me right now, so everyone can see me. Everyone can hear me perfectly. Everyone just hearing from me And the worst are the ones who just don't. If you want to get up at me, jerk off, and make some comment, and go back and forth with me for 2 seconds, that's fine. It's the ones that just won't shut up. And they're always with someone who's mortified. They're never a group of people who are cheering them on, yeah, you get that guy. It's always
no, it's
you're ruining our date.
It's her husband saying that.
Yeah. It's what are you doing?
You're ruining this.
You're embarrassing me in front of DP.
Yeah. You got that name for a reason.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I know it's sketchy.
Yeah, if you don't enjoy the comic, usually just wait. There'll be another comic coming up. If you're heckling a huge comic, like a superstar comic that has filled this entire place, if you don't like it, you're probably going to be drowned out anyway. But just shut up. Other people are, obviously. A lot of people paid to get there, so let them do their job.
It is crazy.
I've seen a lot of huge comedians, and they get heckled, and the entire place, I paid $100 to see this guy. Shut up and sit down. I don't want to hear anything out of your mouth right now. I want to hear this person. It's your opinion does not matter.
Yeah. When you're paying that much, you don't want to be distracted by someone over here who keeps shouting things out when these are jokes that you want to hear or that you like, and you're there for a good time. And just you're ruining this. It's like someone who talks too much during a movie.
Oh, yeah. Gosh, that's terrible. And then when phones became a thing, before you used to you needed a car or a briefcase in order to have a phone on you and on your person. And now everybody has one. And when you're in the movie theater, you just see this bright bat signal just appear in the darkness. You're just
tons of little.
You're just damn it, guy! You're ruining my movie going experience, and I do not appreciate you.
When they
you're the bad guy.
people always hold them up and try to film the movie on their phones and stuff.
Right.
Stupid.
Yeah, I've seen comedians get mad at people filming their bit too.
Yeah.
It's just so
phone.
easy to take out of context. Like, there may be like a 2-minute joke, and you film like 10 seconds of someone saying something just awful without the context.
Right.
I could definitely
And then
see
you throw like this crummy recording on YouTube or something, and then people
Right.
think less of the comedian. When if you'd been there, you would have thought that was funny, but not the way it was filmed and not under those conditions.
Right, a
Yeah,
snapshot
it's
of the
never from
experience.
it's never from someone with a good seat. It's always someone like stage left, all the way to the side, like
Right.
20 rows back. It's never someone like right in the center, like, oh, I got this guy. I got him.
Right. And they got like a Breaking Bad flip phone that they're recording it on.
To keep talking to their friend while they're filming. So you're just hearing them talking in the background. It's like, just stop.
Calm down. I know, and a lot of them just have someone that's there to record the event, so it's done professionally. It's in the back, and the sound's all amazing or whatever. But yeah, there's so many elements in these tiny little clubs that need to be in perfect harmony and balance, and one idiot can just ruin everything, and it's so crazy. It's such a hard business. It is literally one of the hardest jobs ever.
It was, when I first started, I would script out all my comedy, but I would sometimes forget where I was going or forget parts of a joke. And then I would just struggle up there. It's like, where was I? Oh my God. And just draw a blank or something. Or I'd mess up the joke by leaving something out without realizing it. Another joke that I thought was funny, I leave out. Pretty soon, I made the decision to start just going up there and improvising my entire set and just picking out like a few things that I thought were funny and talking about them. That made me really, really nervous the first few times I was doing it. I was throwing up before the shows because I was so scared to do it. Because I thought, what if I get up there and I'm not that funny? And this material just doesn't work. Whatever I'm saying just isn't funny tonight. And but I got better and better at that. And then I began scripting the jokes again. And that way, whenever I did kind of mess up, the improv would always save me. I could just add on without, worrying about it. So that helped me tremendously when I got started.
No, that's great. I wonder how many comedians throw up before a set. It's probably a lot.
Yeah, it can be pretty nerve-wracking, especially if you're going into a new place or a big place, or you just don't feel prepared. I have that dream sometimes called the actor's nightmare, which I don't know if you ever read Christopher Durang's plays, but it's a very real thing where you have a dream that you've got some kind of gig, like whether it be, I wonder if musicians probably have it too. Like, but I know that in acting and comedy, I have a dream where I have forgotten my material or not prepared it at all. And so I don't know what I'm going to do up there. So I start to panic in the dream and I get up there on stage and I really don't know what to say. And I'm just kind of walking around trying to say things.
Oh man.
It's a very, very real thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nuts. And then, there's an energy in the room too, and that goes for live shows with music as well. Someone on stage and they're new. You're here to see the headliner, but then there's this other band that you haven't heard of, and no one really knows what quite to make of it. They don't know the songs, but it sounds kind of cool, but no one's really into it. So if I go to a concert with a bunch of friends and we try to get up to the front and just kind of be excited about it, just to kind of have that extra energy, make it a little bit easier.
Energy is a big thing in comedy because you're really riding that tidal wave. You're really trying to catch some momentum and surprise them and keep that going and keep a vibe going that works for your sense of humor.
Right.
Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not.
Yeah, and it's definitely, there's demographics that are involved, right? Some of your jokes aren't going to land back in Montana like they would in Portland or Los Angeles or something.
Yeah, you really have to pick your jokes.
Yeah.
For where you're going.
It's funny how that works. Especially when they're like, well, that really killed it in New York, or that it didn't work in Idaho. So
you always get that.
That
really killed the last club.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Switch New York from Boise, and it's hysterical.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny how that works.
I've done comedy in Idaho.
Yeah. Got to lay off them NRA jokes in Idaho.
Last time I was at a comedy show before pandemic and stuff, I was at the Irvine Improv, and some nice waitress dropped an entire tray of what probably was like 20 drinks on.
Oh man.
You've never seen someone feel so bad. So where I couldn't even get mad at her because she was like, so like, oh my god, I can't believe I just did that. And like the owner came out and they were super nice. It totally had a happy ending. Everyone was super nice and they're like, whatever you need, just let us know. But I felt really bad. I saw pure terror on someone's face for like probably the first time ever, and this poor lady was like, "Is this guy gonna hit me?"
Oh, how sad.
I'm like, so you can even be mad. Not that I normally would be mad.
You handled that very well. I'm sure some people would have a complete meltdown and freak out, and you are a true gentleman.
Stuff like that happens.
It was weird. Yeah, it was weird. I was at a table with like 4 people. My wife was maybe 3 feet from me and got no splatter. Like all up. Every drink hit me, and like my mask instantly like absorbed every ounce of liquid that came down because I don't even remember the table being wet. It was a marvel of just physics.
It's like that. You're that one unlucky guy on a ride like Splash Mountain where it's a whole log full of people and only one poor sucker got soaked at the end. You're like, sorry, guy. That ride wasn't that bad. Then everyone gets out and then there's just one poor sucker that's just completely drenched.
Yeah, I remember SNL had a funny sketch. It was like an on the street interview. It's like they say that a person is robbed every 8 seconds in New York. And we have this person here. Like every 8 seconds gets mugged. He's like, well, I learned you got to carry a lot of traveler's checks and extra cash and make sure you don't run out of credit cards and stuff like that. So everyone's got a job to do. Love New York.
Oh man, when I was a kid, for some reason I had this interpretation this impression that everyone in Paris was a pickpocket. And I don't know if it was from movies or cartoons or what. So when I went there, I was like, oh man, I'm totally going to get my pockets picked. And so I just walked around with like $20 in my pocket, just hoping it would get stolen so I'd have a pickpocket story. I came home with that $20. I was like, damn it. I even had it like showing and exposed so someone could see that I just had $20 to steal and nobody took the bait. I was like, damn it. You ruined my entire Paris trip.
Our Parisians.
Yeah.
Now I have to think better of you.
Yeah. My whole life is a lie. I thought you guys were all pickpockets.
One of the most terrifying things that I did when I was in high school, I became a waiter at this small restaurant that was really popular in Billings. And they'd never had a male waiter in 67 years.
Wow.
And there was all these old women. And so they didn't like the idea that I was a waiter, but they did like me, but they didn't like the idea that I was going to be a waiter. And I made the biggest mess up because I was so nervous doing this. I serving a great big family of like 20 people. And it's this really long table. And at the end of the table, there's a woman and her husband. And across from them, I think were their parents. I think it was like after a wedding or something they may have done. She's got a newborn baby, though. She sets it down right here. I come in later with their orders, and I'm getting plates on everybody. And I'm carrying a little more than I should. And I'm nervous about it anyway. And I am trying to lean over to give her husband something, and then I'm going to get hers. Meanwhile, I have this guy's food in this hand. It's hot scampi butter. I don't see as I'm trying to hold this over that I'm dropping hot scampi butter on a newborn baby's forehead. I look down. No one has seen this yet. I look down, and I'm looking at it like, oh my God. And there's this quiet moment where the baby realizes its forehead is burning because it's like bubbling.
Oh my God.
And the baby goes, and I was just like, oh my God, here it comes. Loudest baby scream you ever heard. Oh. Mom like immediately looks down. I'm just like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I thought that whole family was going to kill me. I ran and got like a washcloth and ice and stuff, and I let the older waitresses take that over. They told me, you stay in the kitchen. Her husband's upset. And they took off to the hospital. But the baby ended up okay and everything. And obviously we paid for all their meals. And I was no longer a waitress. I was like, no, I don't want to do this anymore.
That's terrible.
It scared me out of it.
It's funny how we have this instinct that we think that we can carry everything all at once. It doesn't matter if it's laundry or groceries or food. We just have to carry everything at once. 2 trips is just not in the cards. We're better than that, right? That's just
and laundry, you always drop a couple things with laundry. Grocery bag, one of the bags always tearing.
It's so ridiculous.
You're kicking the stuff to the front door with
yeah.
It's so funny how we just feel that we can do it. It's so great. That is the epitome of human spirit right there. So we're
I never
able to-
want to make 2 trips because I'm on the 3rd floor of an apartment building, and it's all like you have to go through all these doors and security just to get to where I'm at.
Yeah, that's
And
nice.
so it's like if I've got, and I just walk to the grocery store because it's across the street. But if I've got like 4 or 5 bags, I try my hardest.
Yeah,
And I don't want to make 3 trips down.
it's the worst. It is the worst.
And it's ingrained in humanity. Like my 10-year-old, when he was like 7, he was the same way. He's like, "Load me up, Dad."
Yeah.
Like, all these groceries. Like he's got like his body weight in groceries. He's like,
Yeah.
it's like the little kid from like Christmas Story. All can't move his arms and stuff.
Oh yeah, and the coat. Yeah, that's great.
So it's hardwired into human beings, I guess.
Yeah, no kidding.
I don't even have to go far. I just have my driveway to my front door, which is 30 feet.
Right,
But
right.
nope, can't do it.
Well, Dan, thank you very much for joining us.
Absolutely.
I hope all of our viewers know to follow you on Twitch, Sour KoolAid Show.
Yes.
That is fantastic. And then you're also on Twitter as well. Is that correct?
I'm on Twitter.
Do you tweet? Are you a
Yeah,
tweeter?
yeah, quite often. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. I try to stay.
No, that's
Info.
good. And then obviously your Kickstarter. Very excited about that. Everyone, be sure to go check out the Iron Face Kickstarter. It has been funded, so you are going to get your amazing Iron Face treat, whether you like it or not. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
It'll be a fun coffee table book for your guests to come and read.
for your children. Yeah.
Yeah. But this is high class. You're going to need monocles and top hats, and it's going to be amazing.
Well, you preface it that it was written by a child. Look, this 9-year-old wrote this, and they're like, "Oh, it must be sweet and adorable." I'm like, "Oh my God, what is this?"
Right.
Right.
That's how it
It
works.
will be issued, featured in Fangoria magazine October 16th as well.
Oh,
Awesome.
that's great. And
And
then
thanks to Dr. Claw MD, he linked the Kickstarter in the Twitch chat, but you will be sure to link it in the video and on our social posts and stuff.
absolutely. Fantastic. Congratulations again, and thank you for joining us. Everyone else, be sure to check out bluefinbrands.com for all of our amazing deals that we have going on for New York Comic Con. It's a blast. We got exclusive, we got bundle deals, we got promotions, giveaways. We're actually giving away $5,000 in prizes. Just go to Bluefin Brands to sign up. There's a link. They'll take you right there, and it's incredible. And I can't wait for all these goodies to show up at your front door, and you figure out where you're going to put everything. It's going to be awesome. And also, Dave has all that incredible merchandise on his table there. All kinds of fun stuff. Everything that you see there is available and on sale right now at bluefinbrands.com. Remember to follow us on social media at bluefinbrands, and you will see all kinds of fun giveaways all weekend long. So tune in, and we will see you next time. In fact, we have another live stream in, I think, at 1 o'clock, where we will be ranking all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe films, and it's going to be a blast.
Awesome.
And I can't wait to see where everyone's movies rank. Should lead for a fun conversation.
Yeah.
From
Right,
Dark World #1.
Yeah, there you go. Whew,
Hot
that's a
take.
good one. And everyone else, you have a lovely day and enjoy the rest of your New York Comic Con experience.